If you make it, you're in a position to win. Going to go for two here.
He's going for two.
If you don't make this, you lose. If you make it, you're in a position to win.
Caught him! One-handed catch as he goes up and gets it.
That's just a heck of a play.
Going to go for two here. Go for two here.
Caught him! One-handed catch as he goes up and gets it.
Go for two here. Go for two here. If you don't make this, you lose. If you make it, you're in a position to win. Going to go for two here. Go for two here.
Caught him! One-handed catch as he goes up and gets it.
Go for two here.
Okay, we are live again. We're short another guy again today. Kalen's on vacation with his family, but Chad and I are here, and we're going to take care of you. And as always, these shows are presented by Joe Cools and Toboggan, so make sure you go check them out. They're back open. You can go inside. Chad's got a Mr. Insurance Man rocking over there. Me, I felt my allergies coming, so I got a nice glass of bourbon going down. And we got a lot to talk about. But the first thing that we're going to go into here, Chad, is the expansion draft, which I'm honestly not a big fan of. I don't really like the way that it's set up. I understand why they would want to do it for a competitive balance. But yesterday, the protected list came out, and we were looking at some different guys that were protected, some guys that weren't protected, and there were some pretty big names that stood out there. So, like, how did you feel when that list came out? Like, when you were going through it, did anything pop off the page for you?
The one big one, obviously, everybody was known was the Carey Price situation.
For sure.
I think that's absolutely crazy. Someone told me that they didn't protect him so they can protect Jake Allen. So I get that, but is it worth risking not only the best, probably one of the best players in the world, but the face of your franchise?
Mm-hmm.
And you're getting nothing back for him.
Right.
If this was the plan the whole time, why isn't he dealt at the trade deadline?
Right.
That's what I don't understand. And I don't know if that's the biggest takeaway from it. Like I said, I'm not the world's biggest hockey fan. I'm the first to admit that. But when you have the best goaltender in the world, he just carried you to a Stanley Cup final. He kept you in the Stanley Cup final. Those games could have been 10-0.
Right.
So unless he's asking to be moved, I don't understand why he's not protected.
Yeah, and it was a big shock for me too. Like when I read it, I kind of thought that these were reports, and I was like, they're trying to make a little bit of intrigue. But when you looked at the guys that the Canadians didn't protect, I mean, they have a great young team, so obviously you can't protect everybody. But a guy like Jonathan Duran, they can't protect him. Shea Weber, they didn't protect him, but also last week they floated a story that he might not even play next year because he's a little bit banged up. And for something like that, I don't know if the Habs are just playing a little game of chicken here. They said Carey Price isn't healthy. They're saying Shea Weber isn't healthy. Like, is this their way of protecting more guys than they normally would? I mean, they're trying to kind of scam the system. They're trying to pull, I guess, with the protected list, kind of what the Lightning did with the salary cap in the playoffs.
Yeah, I don't know what the plan is. I just don't get it, but I'm sure that's why they're there and we're over here talking about it. It's the best way to go about it.
For sure. And I mean, they're not the only team that didn't protect like some of their guys. I mean, the Islanders seem like they've moved a couple of guys and they haven't protected Jordan Eberle, which I think is kind of crazy. I mean, the guy definitely makes a little bit of money. And if we're talking about a cap situation, which we aren't because we aren't actual general managers and we don't give a fuck about the salary cap. We're just fans that want to watch the game and trying to find some intrigue for this expansion draft. But, guys like, you were talking about Max Domi before we came on here, Jason Zucker, Eberle, Weber, what was it? David Krejci, Taylor Hall. Like these are all pretty big name guys. And obviously, Seattle has to work within some kind of a salary cap here, but I texted the two guys that I would take right away. And I mean, I had to walk one of them back a little bit because he's not signed and I didn't fully realize his contract situation, but if you're telling me that you could start a franchise and you could get Carey Price and Alexander Ovechkin, yeah, sign me up for that. Overpay for both of them. I don't care. Who cares what the salary cap is in hockey? Let's give 25% of the salary cap to those two dudes. And you got butts in the seats, and you at least have two guys with leadership ability that can get you where you need to be.
Do you go after Taylor Hall? I'm asking you this because Kalen's not here, and I don't want to get absolutely butchered for asking this question on there.
Yeah, I mean it really, and like it's kind of crazy to say this, but it really depends on who else you're going to take. That's the Captain Obvious statement. But if you're getting Taylor Hall to be your guy, then no, don't go get him. But if you're getting him to be a guy on a group of on a group that's going to be decent, absolutely, I would go get the guy. I'm not even I was actually trying to look for this before we came on, and I couldn't find it. And I was listening to the NFL or the NHL radio this morning, and they didn't get it either. But I don't even know what order Seattle gets to pick in. Like, do they get to decide which team they're going to from what, or do they pick from the worst team and go up, or is it alphabetical?
Does it matter? Like, you just kind of put your pick in as you go?
Well, it matters. Maybe I guess they could have their team pre-picked, but it might matter to the team. The team might want to know who you're picking because you're not gonna give your game plan out, but you know what Vegas did to everybody.
Yeah,
they collected first round picks, and I mean the Penguins, they were able to give Marc-Andre Fleury and a first round pick to Vegas to ensure that Marc-Andre Fleury was the guy coming off the books. But it just doesn't seem like that's what Seattle's doing, and I haven't seen that. And maybe the league has put some kind of a rule in that we're just not aware of, that you can't do that anymore because of what Vegas did. But if you're telling me like I could hold Montreal over the Flames right now and be like, so give me a first round pick, or we're taking fucking Carey Price from you right now. I mean, I think if you're Montreal, you have to give up your first round pick, right? You have to.
I don't think they do. I think they went for broke this year. I think they realized they're not going to get back to where they were. And do you expect Carey Price to have the season? Well, I guess he didn't really play in the regular season. They barely even got into the playoffs. But if you know he's on the back legs, did you get the best of Carey Price in those last 20-some games of the NHL playoffs?
And maybe you did. And I mean, this all is going to be basically moot points until they drop the puck like in August or October or November. But if it's Ron Francis who's actually the general manager of Seattle. If I'm Ron Francis, do I not look at what Vegas did? And they went out and they got, which at the time could have been the best French-Canadian goalie that was out there, and they brought him onto the roster, and Vegas has been amazing. Now, obviously, they constructed their roster, and Marc-Andre Fleury got a lot better than he was his last year or so in Pittsburgh. But I would go get Carey Price, give him the money that he's already signed up for. This guy went to the GM and said, you can get rid of my no movement clause, so he's clearly okay with moving on. So I'm taking my $50 million in a duffel bag to Carey Price's house, throwing it on the doorstep and telling him to get in the back of the bus. Let's go. Come on over to Seattle, player.
I think that has to be the first pick.
Yeah. And
there's no other way.
Yeah, that's what I would do. But yeah, they're working on a deal with
the guy from Florida right now. I saw.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but I mean, I would still take them both.
That's not Carey Price.
I would still take them both.
100%. I think it's the right thing. I think they have to get him. I can't believe Montreal didn't protect him unless they know something we don't.
Right.
But I think it's absolutely absurd that they would actually go and do something like that to a guy that's done nothing but be there for your franchise. Like, I guess at the end of the day, it's like, we're going to lose Shea Weber, or we're going to lose Carey Price. Which one do you want to go with? Do we lose our captain, or do we lose the face? And I think Shea Weber's safe, and I think he'll be back in Montreal next year, because how do you not take that goaltending? If you're going to start a team, you want the guy in the back of the net to be the most important one there.
Right, and they're talking about Weber being hurt and how, obviously because they had the extended season into the Cup Finals, his surgery was postponed a little bit. So they're floating stories that he might not be available till even the second half of the season, and like that's fine. I think that you might be right in the sense of Montreal is just kind of looking to. They have a pretty young roster. The guys that they protected are all emerging superstars, and they might just be ready to take the next step. They might not think that in a normal playoff format with normal divisions and the way that the travel goes, they might not be in the position to be in the Cup Finals next year. And maybe they just know a little bit more. The coach is locked up. It's not so tense there. They got a little bit of a rebuilding plan to get all the building blocks in place. So the other one that kind of surprised me, and then I'm gonna get a couple from you because I know that you had a couple guys that you would take for sure. Gabriel Longensberg, I don't know, the Swedish guy from the Avs. I couldn't believe that. I can't imagine. This guy is the captain of your team. He's young. He's looking for money, obviously, but that team together is a dominating force. Now, they have had 2 quick exits in the playoffs recently, the last couple of years, but how do you let a guy like that walk out of your building?
I don't see how you can ever put your captain up on the block.
Right.
Especially in the position that they're in. They were actually the favorite to win the Stanley Cup. I had them in Tampa in the finals.
Mm-hmm.
And the only reason I took Tampa to win was just based on the odds. It was the payday for me. We talked about this before. I thought Colorado had the best team going in, front to back.
For sure, yeah.
And now you're going to put a key piece out there that can just walk away. And is the salary cap dropping? There's a lot of big names that got put up. And the Seattle's have absorbed that contract. Is that how that works?
Well, yeah, I know that Seattle definitely has a little bit of an extra right. I think that they can offer 8 years or something. Like, there's something that they can offer a player as an expansion team that even their home team, like their draft team or whatever team they're a part of right now, can't offer them. But I don't know exactly what it is off the top of my head, so I'm not going to fake it. But I know that there is something they can do. And Lagerspierre is he is a free agent, so they would have to sign him. But it'd be pretty easy to do it, I think. You just look, man, how much money you want to make? All right, come on over. Why don't you tell us a couple guys you wouldn't mind on your team? Okay, yeah. You want Carey Price too? Yeah, no problem. Let's go ahead and make this happen. And while you're at it, just let us know what letter you want on your chest. You want the C? No problem. Here you go, man. You want us to go get Ovi and he can, you guys can lead this team together? Yeah, that's not a problem either. I don't get it. I think it's wild. I think that the way that the NHL is doing this is definitely, it's entertaining because what other league would we be talking about expansion if it wasn't the NFL? I mean, if there was a new baseball team coming in, they're going to suck for the next 30 years. So there's not even a point of talking about them. And I don't know if the NBA still exists, but we do actually, you know what? The NBA definitely exists because we have a boost with Coolbet coming out. I don't want to announce it yet because the bookies haven't approved it, but it's good if it goes up. It'll be in the plus fives. Yeah, it's gonna be a nice one. And it all relies on Giannis having a good game. So I feel pretty confident about that.
I still like Giannis from the first week of the season. I know it's off topic.
Yeah,
I took him to get the over, and they benched him in the fourth quarter, and I was 2 points out. And I've never let him live it. I don't like that guy anymore.
It's not his fault.
I'm not rooting for Milwaukee. Just for that reason, I'm not rooting for them.
Yeah. Honestly, I don't have a rooting interest in the final other than who I'm betting on, and I've been pretty clear about that. But I do think that Milwaukee gets it done tomorrow, and then we can kind of be done with that and move on to the draft. I am a little bit intrigued by the NBA draft, and we're not going to get into that today either because we're going to need something to do late in July. But let's go back to hockey for a second, and let's why don't you give me a couple guys that you're getting your pick? Like, who are your first 2 picks? Who are you bringing in? I mean, I already picked Carey Price, and so like don't bury Chad for not saying Carey Price because he's our we've already added those guys. We're just adding a couple extra guys to the lineup here.
One guy is Max Domi.
Okay,
he's a gritty forward. He's proved over years that He can play multiple games. He can put the puck in the net. He's become a better all-around hockey player. And he's proven to be a top 6 forward no matter where he's played. I think that's the one big that stands out to me is no matter what system he's been put in, he's been a top 2 line guy.
Yep.
And as I'm building a team and a franchise, that's something I want. Can I put him on the top line? Can I put him on the second line? And is he going to excel? And that's a guy that will do that. I know he's had a kind of a tough run in the NHL, is where he's been to some pretty shitty teams.
Yep.
But the kid was a winner. He's been to the World Championships as well, which is I think a huge add. He's been around a lot of key veteran guys in the NHL, and he's only 26 years old. So you can lock that up too. If he comes in and plays well, then you're going to get him at his peak time.
Right.
So to me, the Domi one makes sense for the fact that I know what I'm getting from him, and I know he can play in multiple roles.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'm not a Max Domi guy, but I mean, for every reason you said, and the fact that you need 25 roster spots, yeah, let's bring him on. We already got Ovechkin, we got Langespierre, we got Carey Price. Why is not bring in Max Domi too? Let's do it.
And then the other one is we've only been talking about putting pucks in the net. I guess we have Price stopping them, so that helps. But Nikita Zadorov, he is 6'6". He can skate, and he has a cannon. I'm not comparing him to Zdeno Chara because that's not fair.
Right.
But when you're almost 7 feet tall on skates and you can move, that's a presence on your blue line.
Yeah.
That's a presence back in the corners. And I want a guy like that on the back end. Is he a number 1 or 2 defenseman in this league? No, but I think he's a 3 or 4. And I'm not sitting here looking for the guys that are the top guys because I didn't think you should have to pay them all. So there is going to be guys you have to worry about salary caps. And a guy like that, I think, is one of his salary, I think, was only in the $3 million range.
Yeah, and I already gave away majority of our salary cap if we were Seattle.
You did.
I spent most of that on the first 3 picks.
So, yeah, no, I like those 2 guys. And obviously, they both have London ties, so maybe I'm a bit biased, and I'll admit that. But I've seen them play.
Yeah.
And I've kind of followed their careers because of that reason. And I think they're 2 guys that can come in and be immediate impacts, which is the biggest thing. And like I said, the big presence on the blue line, a cannon shot, and he can shoot. And a guy that can literally play on any line front to back.
Right.
And if I'm building a team, those are 2 things I look for is grit and size.
Yeah. Yeah. And no, I think you're onto something there. And I think for sure when it comes to grit and size, I go to Joe Cool's for a kitchen sink pizza because that thing has a lot of size to it. And at the end of the day, if you eat that whole thing, you're going to have some grit to it too. Yeah. You know, so that's where I go. And I mean, if you don't want to go there, have it delivered, but that's okay too. We do also have another sponsor we're going to talk about at the end, towards the end of the show. So stick around because it's going to be enjoyable. People will love it. But let's talk about a little bit of football before we do that, because you know, for the most part here we are pretty much a football show, and now football is coming back, so we can focus a lot of our attention onto that. Now we're gonna start off with a pretty easy one here because we both know that we both love Adrian Peterson on here. Like that, anybody that doesn't like Adrian Peterson probably doesn't have a very good reason. I was gonna make a bad joke, but I'm not gonna do it. Yeah, let me switch subjects. Do you think a team like the Bucs, because he's come out and said, yeah, he wants to come back, he just wants to play for a contender, he wants a ring, he needs his ring. So do you think a team like the Bucs is they're gonna have a look at Peterson, or do you think there's a contender out there that needs a running back? Can Peterson go to somebody and not be the guy and still be as effective as he needs to be? You know, there's tons of questions out there, but I'm going to turn it over to you for a second.
He's not going to the Bucs. Let's just call that what it is.
Hey, we said that about fucking everybody else last year, and they still ended up at the Bucs. So
I didn't say that.
Okay, I did.
I was building my super team last year.
Yeah.
BA's fantasy camp.
Yep.
The only one that surprised me was Shady McCoy. I'm not going to go down that road. He's gone now. That one didn't make sense to me. I just don't see the value in bringing AP because Leonard Fournette resigned. I think if Fournette walks, different story. 'Cause you
Okay.
need a big bruising back that can take a beating, doesn't put the ball on the ground, and can grind those yards out and let Ronald Jones be the back that he is.
Right.
Is there teams that could use him? 100%. I think I'm going to stay in the NFC South. I think a place like Carolina makes sense. You have Christian McCaffrey coming off injury.
Okay.
You need to have him on the field as much as possible, but you also have to get him less hits. So a
Yep.
team like the Panthers, same with the Giants, Saquon, bring in a veteran guy who can help teach these kids take care of their bodies. Like I know they all have their own nutrition coaches and things, but AP's really, I think he's only had the 1 year with injuries. Other than that, he's been pretty durable.
Yeah, he tore his ACL 1 year and he came back and played like 4 months later because he's superhuman.
Yeah, and I think he also had MVP caliber season
Yeah.
the following year.
Yeah.
So I think a team like that has these young backs who are coming off injury. He's a great insurance policy.
All right, I'm gonna throw a team at you for him, and I don't even know how they'd make this work, but the Rams. Could Adrian Peterson go to the Rams?
Yeah, man, it's if they can find a way to use him in that system.
Right.
I don't know if he catches the ball enough, and I don't know if he's fast enough anymore. Because Sean McVay has guys going east and west. He has motion happening everywhere. Can AP play in that system? He's such a power back.
Right.
That being said, I do believe that AP is a good enough talent that he could play in any system
Okay.
for what you use him for.
Right.
Like, if you're expecting 1,000-yard AP, you're not going to get that guy.
Right.
If you're expecting 600 yards and 8 touchdowns, I think he's the guy that you want. And I think that has to be put out right from the very beginning on paper. Like, this is where your bonuses are. This is where we're going to pay you. This is how you're going to be used.
Right. Well, and I don't understand how a team like, and we're staying in the division, a team like the Cardinals can go out and spend money on James Conner when you could get Adrian Peterson. I mean, Adrian Peterson isn't a feature back, but here's a spoiler, guys. Neither is James Conner. So if what you're looking for is kind of what you said, and you just need somebody that can pick you up, I don't know. He's not going to rush for 1,000 yards this year. That's relatively obvious. But he could easily have you 10 touchdowns. And that's the kind of guy that I mean, I would have loved for the Steelers to go and get him. But with Najee Harris there, their backfield is pretty full. It's a lot of young guys, and like, you don't invest a first-round pick into a team and then go out and find his replacement right away. Just not necessarily something that a Steelers team would do. But the Steelers did break some pretty good news today. Not too long before we came on here. They went out and signed Melvin Ingram. Now,
Yeah, and
that's
that was the
wild
guy
one.
that I was high on him all this whole time.
Yeah. I think that he's versatile enough. If he needs to slide inside, he can slide inside. He can rush the passer from all the different angles. He's going to give TJ Watt a little bit of a breather. Alex Highsmith is still there, but I mean, he's in his second year. They drafted a couple kids, and Cassius Marsh is there, but this is really taking the pressure off of a guy like TJ Watt that now they can kind of work Ingram into this thing. He's in here before camp. We know he's healthy because he just passed his physical. There's a lot of Steelers fans that, because I was on the forum before I came on here just to kind of see how they were reacting to it. A lot of Steelers fans that think that Ingram is going to walk in and be a starter, and like, it's not true. The Steelers love Alex Highsmith. They love TJ Watt. Those are your snap one of the game outside linebackers, barring any kind of an injury. But Ingram's going to play a lot because Highsmith is still second year. He came from a small college, but he has never played a full season in the NFL. He was worked in through rotation, and then after Bud Dupree got hurt last year, he he kind of came in and played his role. But I think that this helps the Steelers, and it actually should. Teams should be looking around, being like, well, why are all these decent to like high-end free agents signing with the Steelers if what ESPN is saying is correct, that they're going to be the worst fucking team that was ever put on a football field?
What's the dollar value they got him at? Has that been announced?
Hasn't been announced yet, but I'm going to guess it's somewhere between like 6.5 or 7 mil.
Okay, well then why wouldn't you take him?
Well, I'm saying like
If you get 8 sacks and a $7 million, you're winning.
for sure. And like I understand why the Steelers want him. Like the guy is a 3-time Pro Bowl player. He was always a very serviceable player on a good defense with San Diego or LA. You know, he played for both. But like, why would these high-end free agents sign with the Steelers if they think that they're going to suck? So a Trey Turner who could have went and played somewhere, and an Ingram, they're both only looking for 1-year deals because the cap's going up next year. So if the Steelers are going to suck so bad, like every analyst is saying, why would these guys go there?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't understand where the analysts are coming from. You and I have talked about this on and off the air numerous times. You know how high I was on Melvin Ingram. I was kind of hoping he could spell in Tampa because I thought we were going to lose a couple guys. And I think it's a situational pass rusher. It's perfect for you guys. He can put his hand in the, but he can put his hand in the dirt too, and that's what people forget.
Yeah,
he's not a small guy.
No,
like you could bump him in to be a 5-tech, or a 3-tech, and then you have him and T.J. Watt on the same side of the field. Have fun with that, guys.
Right.
Tuitt's still there too.
Tuitt's still there. Hayward is still there. They got Tyson Alualu back.
So you're literally rotating studs across your D line.
Yeah. And it just goes back to like the Steelers are going to be a defensive team again, and they're going to run the ball. So everything that I've been asking for the last fucking 2 years is finally coming back to fruition. And no one's invited to my house for the Super Bowl this year because the Steelers are going to win the Super Bowl. They just fucking won it.
Well, I'll be there.
Yeah. Well, you got special exemptions.
Unless Tampa's there. We're not watching it together.
Yeah. Yeah. We definitely are not doing that because they will
probably. You imagine?
I'm honestly not even sure, like, if we have an in-person show when the Super Bowl comes around, like, pending, like, 15th lockdown or whatever, and the Steelers are playing the Bucks, they might have to have us in different rooms.
I don't even think the split screen's safe.
Yeah, it might get weird. Liam's going to have to ref this whole fucking thing.
I'm going to say, if it's the Bucks and Steelers in the Super Bowl, we're 100% filming that with you guys in the same room.
Oh boy. Yeah, that
That's
will
just
make
good TV.
It will make for some good TV. And all right, boys, here we go. Quick sponsorship update. Gentlemen, are you tired of your undercarriage looking like Charles Manson's face? Would you rather it looks like Mr. Bigglesworth after the unfreezing process? Well, check out our friends at Smooth Your Balls. Use promo code GOIN42. Also in our Instagram link. It'll be up there later when Liam does it. And you will save 10% off your first order. And gentlemen, trust me, it works. All right, there we go. There's our first read on air. First read on air. How did we do?
Did you do that yourself?
I did that myself, yeah.
Mr. Bigglesworth, eh?
Yeah, I watched Austin Powers the other day with Ethan. It was pretty funny.
The only thing that you could have done better is if you were just petting a cat.
I could have, yeah. But yeah,
like,
after the unfreezing process, that thing was fucking smooth.
Yeah, I think we should work on these ads together. We're both creative geniuses.
Yep.
And assholes.
Yep.
So I think we should have some good, that'd be some good stuff.
I thought Liam was going to get mad at me over the Charles Manson's face thing, but...
have you ever seen Liam's beard?
He seems like he's all right over there.
Yeah. Could you imagine if your pubes looked like Liam's beard?
Jeez.
Yeah. She would be buying you the Smooth Your Balls.
Yeah, this thing it will not nick your nutsack, so you will not be injured. But let's talk about some NFL players that are coming off of injury, because it's a pretty extensive list for like big name players, right?
It was a crazy year. The first 3 weeks of the season.
So I'm going to read you a list of 9 players.
Hey, the last time you wrote off that paper, things got weird.
Yeah, that was the other paper. It's okay.
Okay.
Yeah, this is a different paper. So we got Saquon Barkley, Derwin James, Dak Prescott, Nick Bosa, Chandler Jones, Christian McCaffrey, Devin Bush, Brandon Brooks, and Von Miller. So I guess which one of those guys is going to win the comeback player of the year?
They only give out one of those, right? There's not an offensive and defense. It's just one.
It'll just be the one. They might have AFC and NFC, but I think it's just one.
Should just be called the Alex Smith Award now.
Yeah, I don't know if he's going to win it.
He won it twice, man. That's a skill.
Fuck that guy.
I think everybody's bet there's going to be like Saquon and McCaffrey. If you're like putting out like who's going to win the award, because everybody likes the offensive guys. They're sexy. They get you fantasy points. They sell jerseys. But for me, it's Nick Bosa.
Okay.
As a quarterback coach, as an offensive guy, nothing terrifies me more than a guy that can get to my quarterback. You just brought in Matt Stafford to the Rams.
Mm-hmm.
You have Kyler Murray in Arizona, and you have Russell Wilson. That San Francisco team is going to be a whole lot different when Nick Bosa gets there.
How many sacks does he need to be the comeback of the year versus those guys, you think?
I think he's going to get you your 13 or 14. And I think that's but I just don't know. I don't think he can win the award. I think he's going to have the biggest impact for his team. But because those guys are offensive stars, that's why I think they'll probably win. Like, those are guys that have like national sponsorship deals with every company possible.
Right.
They're in commercials.
Like
defense isn't sexy.
He needs to get into like the defensive player of the year category in order to beat out a guy like Dak Prescott, who's naturally going to have 40 touchdowns this year. Like,
yeah,
between throwing and rushing, he's going to have 40 touchdowns.
Well, for every $1 million he just got paid, right?
Yeah. Well, touchdown $1 million sounds pretty good.
But yeah, no, I think he's going to be his impact. But who I think he's going to win, I think is going to be McCaffrey or Saquon, who win that comeback player of the year.
Okay, not even Dak then.
No.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know. I agree. It's going to be one of the offensive guys. Like, the defensive guys don't really. They won't calibrate the kind of stats that you would need to offset. Like I said, if Dak Prescott has 35 touchdown passes, runs 5 in himself, and just has an average throwing season that's going to be about 4,500 yards, like that's pretty like high end quarterback play right now, and that's what you'd expect from a guy like that. Now, if Barkley or McCaffrey if McCaffrey gets like 2,000 all purpose, he's in the conversation obviously, but I think that Dak is going to have to like have a tough year for one of the running backs to get past him. Now, I'm looking forward to all these defensive guys coming back too. I think a guy like Derwin James, like Kayla and I talked to him about him a little bit on the last episode. I don't think that people realize how good he actually is because he hasn't been able to stay healthy for like the large portions of his career.
That guy is a star.
Yeah.
Like, he's right. Like, is it Micaiah Fitzpatrick?
Yeah.
I would say like they're 1A and 1B right at the top.
Right.
And I think he gets no love because he's in LA. Like, he's up there with the Buda Bakers. He's up there with the guy from Denver. I can't think of his name offhand. But yeah, like, he's right up there with those guys. But yeah, he's had a couple injuries, and he plays, in a conference that against the Chiefs.
Right.
So when you're going against U.S. track teams and you're a safety, it's not on you if someone gets past your 1, 2, and 3 corners every time.
Right. I mean, like, if we were going to put a comparison on this thing, and like, it's going to be like unfair, but it might spark up a little bit of conversation. If we were looking Polamalu, Ed Reed, we'd be looking at Derwin James and Minka would be the Ed Reed, and Derwin James would be the position that Troy Polamalu could have played and would be playing right now. Now, we're not going to disrespect 2 guys that are going into the Hall of Fame, but these guys are on a trajectory to be in that same position. And I mean, Troy Polamalu's been hurt before in his career too. Just wasn't as noticeable. But
But having a guy like that back too is going to really, I think it's going to help excel the Chargers into that next echelon of where they need to be, because they got to start winning football games.
I think I forget how far he said, but I think Kalen said that the Chargers are going into like the AFC Championship game, or like he was taking them pretty far into the season. I was like, I don't know, man. Like, they're still the Chargers, and like they just got a brand new coach, so it's hard to imagine that they're just gonna get thrust right into like superstardom. With it's because we were talking about the Raiders. He was telling me that he thinks that the Raiders stink and the Broncos stink, and it's like, so are you saying by default it's going to be the Chargers, or are you saying like that you think the Chargers are just the second best team in that division? And yeah, he seems to think the Chargers are the second best team in that division, which I don't fully agree with. I think that the Raiders still have an edge on the Chargers, as much as if I had to choose which one of those teams I was going to watch in a game, it's going to be the Chargers. But I'm not saying that the Chargers aren't ready to win yet.
So I seen a crazy thing today. It's because we're talking about the Chargers, I'll bring it up. In his second year, Patrick Mahomes won MVP. In his second year, Lamar Jackson won MVP. They're saying that this is Justin Herbert's time to take over the league.
Come on.
How unfair is that to that poor kid?
That's fucked up. That's what, like, did you read that on ESPN? I fucking hate ESPN.
It popped up in my feed. It was from one of the major sports feeds. But yeah, I was like, man, let this kid fucking breathe.
Yeah, honestly. And he was thrust into a starting role last year because of a doctor's error. So, I mean, he probably wouldn't have even been playing last year if the Chargers had their say in it until maybe the last couple of games of the year. I don't know. It's a brand new system. I do kind of believe in the coach that they got. I think that it was the right coach for them. But talk to me this time next year, and I might give you a better review on the Chargers. But I'm not sold yet. I don't think that they have a winning season. They're not a playoff team. They have a lot of good things going for them, but not enough to be competitive in that division, and definitely not enough to be second place in that division.
Do they win 8?
It's gonna be tough. I don't know. I don't think so. If I had to go with our friends over at CoolBet and find a win total, which, you know, if you do go to CoolBet, use the Going for 2 promo code, you get your money doubled. Hit us on the DMs, and we'll hit you with an extra $25 gift card. If I was going to CoolBet, then I would say I would go under 8 wins.
Oof.
Yeah.
Really?
Well, you think they're over 8 wins, or you think they're on 8 wins, or like where they landed?
I think they could be at 9 and 8.
Okay.
I think they split Oakland.
Las Vegas, yeah.
Same thing. I hope they can split the Chiefs.
That's gonna be a tough one. I think that the Chiefs are gonna be, you know, they think they're going 20-0. So,
And then the Broncos are the wild card. You just don't know what's going on in Denver because of that quarterback situation.
yeah, it doesn't seem like Aaron Rodgers is going there.
It doesn't look like it now.
Yeah.
So
Breaking news.
I'm not saying they're going to sweep Denver, but like if they could come out, they sweep one of those 3 teams. That's 4 wins right there. They can go. They can win 4 games of the division. Then I think that they could have a chance of getting that to 9 games.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that they're going to get swept by the Chiefs. I think that they could split with the Raiders, and I think they could split with the Broncos. So they're coming out of that division 500. And I guess the rest of it's really going to, like, I don't have the Chargers schedule in front of me to sit here and break it down play by play, but it's really going to depend on what other teams are playing and what divisions they're crossing over against, because I'm not sold on them being a playoff team. I don't hate the Chargers if they were in the playoffs. Obviously, that's at least an exciting team to watch in the playoffs. I would rather watch the Chargers than the Ravens and the Titans, but that's my personal opinion. I know that my neighbor and Kalen probably would disagree with me on that. But that's kind of where I land on that. Anything else from the injured players coming back? Is there anybody on that list that we're not even talking about?
I think Chandler Jones is one that's going to make a big splash, similar to this whole, like, the Bosa thing I talked about.
You think he shows up in camp?
I think so.
Seems like he wants to get paid.
Yeah, well, you're coming off an injury, so have fun with that.
Yeah. I mean, I hope for his sake he shows up, and I hope for any, like, any Cardinals fans that bought their jersey in the offseason, that he comes back for them. But right now, it doesn't seem like it. But right now, it's also the time where if you hear nothing, we just, we assume the worst. Like, Aaron Rodgers didn't say anything for how long. It appears that he's going back. He just sent some lady or like some cleaning crew into his house to get his house ready for him to move back to Green Bay. So
Not resale.
no, I don't think so. It's according to reports, and like who gives a shit about reports? But that's kind of where it's at right now. Now, I came across something very interesting, and this isn't going to be a commercial read. This is one that I had to write down because I wanted to get the statistics correct. So Ben Roethlisberger right now, he's number 7th in all-time passing in the NFL, which I think if you said that to people, they would probably be like, yeah, that's not true. Or, if you actually start calculating, you're like, okay, yeah, it makes sense. Now, he is currently 3,092 yards away from passing both Dan Marino and Rivers. So I'm pretty comfortable to say that he's
3,092 or like 3,902.
No, 3,092.
Okay.
So I'm pretty confident that he's going to get that this year. He's typically like a 4,400, kind of like 45, Sometimes he gets into the 5,000s, but I'm pretty confident that he gets there. Now, here's the real question. And it's going to be a 2-part question, so I'll finish it. He needs about 11,000 yards to pass Brett Favre and Peyton Manning. Can he play long enough to get there? Does he have 3 seasons in him, basically?
First part of the question, he's going to pass both those two guys. That's 200 yards a game. He's going to pass those two guys.
Yeah.
So where does that put him? That
would put him at 5.
So yeah, he gets that this year, no problem.
And if he can
How old is he? 37, 38.
He's 38. But he'll probably be 39 at some point this season.
I don't think he can.
Like, do you think that he can find it inside of himself to muster it up to, like, he's not going to be able to pass Breeze, and he's not going to be able to pass Brady, who will become the all-time leading passer at some point this year because Breeze is done. But can he be the 3rd guy on the list? Which I think that is a pretty wild statistic. I don't think that many people would put Roethlisberger in that category.
No, I didn't think he was that high. I know we've had this conversation about Ben for years about where he sits in the quarterback charts.
Yeah.
That's a conversation for a different day, obviously. But yeah, no, 11,000 yards or almost 12,000 yards. I just don't know if he has 3 full years left in him. And my biggest thought on that is, will somebody sign him if he gets cut? That would be the thing that would be the deciding factor. I think if he plays 3 years, yeah, I think he can get it. But if he doesn't get picked up by somebody, how many years do he have left in his contract in Pittsburgh?
This is his last official year.
So if they move on from him, does somebody pick up a 40-year-old Ben Roethlisberger? And I think that would be the only thing that would determine how he doesn't get there, because that ball's out of his court.
Right.
If he stays in Pittsburgh and they offer him an extension, which I don't know if they have yet or not, if they're going to, but they say, hey man, we got 2 years in you, or even like a 1-1, I'd have to be a lot more confident in it.
Mm-hmm.
But I just don't know if someone's going to go out there and sign a 40-year-old Ben Roethlisberger. Unless your team's built to win now and you only need a quarterback.
Right.
Similar to that Phillip Rivers situation where they brought him in for 1 year and he called it quits before the season ended. It has to be a situation like that.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, like if you're the Colts and like you're obviously hoping Carson Wentz works out for you, but I do believe that based on the way that the Steelers have been trending and the way that they're going, They're gonna have so much money to spend over the next 2 years that bringing a guy like Roethlisberger back at the price that they want to bring him back at, which is what they did this year too. So if you could get a guy playing at his caliber for $25 million a year, I think if you eliminate the names from it, anybody's signing up for it. So if Liam is available to look it up quick, look up Ben Roethlisberger's touchdown pass to interception ratio. It has to be the last 3 years because the 1 year he didn't play. But basically his last 2 full seasons, it's something like 75 touchdowns and like 20-something interceptions.
It's almost 3-1.
Yeah, like it's pretty crazy to think. And like he's only getting better. And apparently this is the best shape of his life, which, you know, everyone's in the best shape of their life in June and July. We talked about that a little bit. But this guy is apparently, and this is apparently because I don't follow this guy on Instagram or anything, he's apparently on a more strict diet than Tom Brady.
So
I don't even know what that means.
Are we talking like New England Tom or Tampa Tom?
Tampa.
From the looks of it, Ben Roethlisberger, 2004 to 2001 has a 1.97 touchdown to interception rating.
No, sorry. Just the last 2 full seasons that he played. So last year and 2019 or 2018 maybe. But it's pretty crazy. It's like it's quite a big difference. And I think that he still has some good football in front of him. They have a lot of young receivers. This is probably the last year of Juju, but they still got Claypool.
For 2020, it was 3-1, 33 touchdown passes, 10 interceptions.
Yeah, and then 2018, I think 2019 he was hurt. But yeah.
2018 looks like 2-1, 34 to 16.
So there you go. So that's 68 touchdowns and 26 interceptions. Yeah. So like you blend that together, you're almost at 3-1. So I think that if he can come out and play the same way that he did and take a little bit of the pressure off of him, I think that they'll be in okay shape. Now, a guy that's maybe not in such okay shape is Deshaun Watson, because I'm not sure. I'm not sure what we're gonna keep the legal shit out of it, but would you trade for him right now? Like, if you were Houston, would you even trade him?
If I'm Houston, 100%.
But what are you gonna get from him right now?
Well, I think if you get the right offer, you do.
Yeah.
I'm not saying you trade him for nothing, but if someone's going to give you
do you think
I'd sell him for a 2.
I'm going to interrupt you. Do you think this is the first time that anybody transitioned from a Ben Roethlisberger conversation to a Deshaun Watson conversation?
I think so. We might be the first. While on the topic, how do you feel about Deshaun Watson?
Yeah. Yikes.
I think if I get offered a 2 for him, I trade him. I don't know if I would take anything less than that because nothing has actually been proved.
Right.
He's not guilty yet. He hasn't been taken off the commissioners or put on the commissioners list.
Right.
That being said, that team is in fucking shambles as it is. You have nothing to rebuild there anyways. So at that point, if you can get rid of him and get something worthwhile, I think you do it. You've already sold the farm. What difference does it make now?
So the teams that are apparently sniffing around still are the Broncos, the Dolphins, and the Eagles.
Now
the Dolphins, eh? Oof.
Yeah.
Tua's just getting fisted. I love it.
Yeah, and I mean, the Eagles just let Carson Wentz go for Jalen Hurts. So I don't know. I guess if you get a chance at, arguably everything aside, you know, if we're just talking football, a top 5 quarterback in the league right now, right? If you could get him, then you have to. You can't not. But this is the guy. Like, think of how wild it could be to have Deshaun Watson, Patrick Mahomes, Justin Herbert, and that other fucking guy in in Vegas, according to Tom. That could be the quarterbacks in your division. That's pretty wild. Yeah. I don't know, man. Like, I think a guy like that puts Denver over the top. You already know how I feel about Denver. We're not going to keep beating those guys into like any kind of submission. I think that Denver's going to have a much better defense. I have a hard time imagining that the NFL will allow Deshaun Watson to play unless everything is unsubstantiated by then, because it does seem like the court of public opinion does have a say in the commissioner suspensions, which maybe it should. I guess if you're the paying person, like you're the person paying to watch it, you should have some kind of an input. But yeah, I don't know, man. I think you try and lowball the Texans right now and get them for what you can get them for, and do all your background work. And if this guy is cleared with your security team and you know, like, everything is just kind of going to get blown out of proportion in the media, then I think you do it. I think you just go ahead and get him.
Yeah, I don't know how you can't turn down the talent. That's the first thing.
Right.
I'm not giving up a 1 for him, but I give him a 2. I would give him a 2 and a 4.
Yeah.
Like, a 2 and a 4 won't put you back. But if I'm the Texans, I get offered a 2 and a 4. And I'm unsure about how I feel about Deshaun Watson in the situation that's going on and where we're at as a franchise. I think that, yeah, it's time that maybe if you can get a couple picks for it, why not?
Yeah, I mean, like, they have a brand new GM. So if I was in his shoes and I was looking at it, and I would say, do you want to be the guy that let Deshaun Watson go for peanuts? Or do you want to let the guy be the guy that held on to Deshaun Watson? And I mean, if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. But if it does, you kind of have him over the coals. And I kind of feel that I would want to be the latter. I don't want to be the guy that traded away Deshaun Watson for a bag of baseballs. And then 2 years from now, the guy's back in MVP status and you're fucked. Like, your franchise is fucked.
Your franchise is fucked anyways.
Yeah, I mean, it's more than likely. And, like, this is a way too early thing to do. But, you know, we'll probably talk about this in a couple of weeks because it'll be our annual quarterback prospects video, which was actually our first video I think we ever did. Spencer Rattler is probably going to be the first overall pick, and he's going to be a Texan. And if he's not a Texan, then he's going to be wearing a Lions jersey. So that's a little preview into the college season, into what we're doing next. Let's talk about something maybe a little bit closer to home here. And a little bit closer to home is the Toronto Blue Jays are coming home to Toronto for the first time since September of 2019. It's been about 675 days or something like that. So my question to you is it going to feel like more of a baseball season, knowing that you could actually go to the game and knowing that the Jays are playing 2 hours from here? I guess they were playing from 2 hours from here before, so scratch the last comment, because Buffalo is actually probably a little bit closer than Toronto.
Oof. I want to say yes, but I've also been to games at the Sky Dome, and it fucking sucks.
That is true.
As a fan, I think it might bring baseball kind of back to Canada right now, because, like, you might actually feel like you're cheering for your hometown.
And the team's good. And the team's good right now.
And
not tonight though.
They're not doing well tonight.
Yeah, they're getting throat pounded tonight. It's 11-0.
Well, you take one to give one. It's words to live by right there.
Okay.
But yeah, the fans are going to be pumped. But are we going to get real fans of the baseball game, or is this all going to be people who just want to go say they saw a Blue Jays game? And I think that's what's going to ruin it for people like me. You're not going to have real baseball fans there. You're not going to have real sports fans there. You're going to have the people that are going there just to say they went and saw a Jays game this year. And people who are real fans who actually follow the Blue Jays and care if they win or lose are not going to get to see them.
Right. And it's the same thing like when they traded for Price and Tulowitzki, when the prices at the Rogers Center went fucking out of control. But I went to look today because I was like, you know what? They're actually coming back to town on my birthday weekend. This is a nice little gift for me. So I'm going to go look, and then I'm going to be like, hey, Cheryl, you want to go to the Jays game? Because, like, I don't really like going to the Rogers Center either, but I think it'd be cool to go. I mean, it's been a long fucking time since I've been at a sporting event. Last sporting event I was at was the Penguins and Sabres in March.
You brought Corona back to
Yeah,
Canada.
yeah.
Like you were the reason the 1-9 came to Canada.
Yeah, I was away the weekend, and then, like, the week shit fucking went nuts, and then by the Monday we were locked down. So that was wild. I never had the thing, so whatever. Unless I'm superhuman, which is definitely possible. But yeah, what do you think the average lowest price ticket right now? Don't even go by the average. We're just gonna go by the lowest price ticket right now.
120.
They're allowed to have 15,000 people, and I'm gonna give you that. I'm gonna let you guess one more time.
88. I don't know.
$357 to sit in the 500 level right now. Yeah,
That's fucked.
yeah.
I remember going to the David Price game. I bought my tickets months in advance. I sat in left field,
Mhm.
so I don't know, 8 rows back from the fence, and it was just by chance that the game I went to was David Price's first start.
Right.
I took my cousin for a graduation present. We were all pumped for going down. I'm pissing in the bathroom, and this guy's like, so how much did you fucking pay for this? And I was like, I don't want to tell you. And he was like, what? I'm like, you're going to punch me in the face if I tell you this. He was like, what's that mean? I'm like, I paid $27 for my tickets. He looked at me stone cold and said he paid over $400 for that ticket.
That's insane, man. Just insane.
But those are the people that are going to go to the games now, and it's going to suck. It's going to ruin it for everybody else.
Yeah, and that's why I never really like going to Rogers Center. It's why I would assume a Leafs game would suck, because the people that are there aren't really there to enjoy it. They're there for the Instagram fucking picture of it. But I would assume, and I don't know this to be a fact, I think that the average price right now is higher than it was for the Jays playoff run, like the actual playoff games. And obviously there's less tickets, so everything has to be all relative, but no, I'm not dropping $400 on tickets. No, I'm not paying $100 to park. No, I'm not giving you $15 a beer, $19 a hot dog. Like, give me a fucking break. I'm happy that the Jays are coming back, because it signals to us that Canada's getting its shit together. But the first sporting event that I'll probably see is when I go out to Seattle for the Mariners, and then the Seahawks, and then potentially the Washington State USC game, because that's gonna be a wild week. But
There was a couple other Jays things I wanted to get to. So
obviously that's important. Now, the fact that they're coming back to Toronto, I think, opens up the GM's pockets a little bit, because they're going to be able to make a little bit more money. Now, going into today, we're not going to count this throat fucking that they're receiving. They were 2.5 games behind in the wild card, behind Oakland, but they have 5 games in hand. So Oakland has played 5 more games than Toronto's played. I think it's incredibly realistic that the Blue Jays are a wild card team this year, whether it's the first wild card team and the second wild card team. If they are in a position to make a move or two, much like they did back in 15 and 16, they could make a run at the division. Because what
I was actually going to say this.
I shouldn't say it anymore, but I don't think that the Red Sox are that good. But
Not the night to say that. Not the night to say that.
Yeah. The Red Sox are currently up 11-0 on the Blue Jays, so that's probably not the right night to say it. But I do think that if they got a couple of bullpen arms, even if it was through the way of trading for a better starter and putting a guy like Ross Scrapling into the pen, or they just lost Manoah onto the injured list, but all that shit, we'll break that down a little bit further. We're about 2.5 weeks away from the trade deadline, so we'll see how that goes. But something I wanted to point out was Vlad.
I have a question first.
Yes, sir.
You brought up trade deadline. I thought you were going there and you didn't, so that's why I'm cutting you off, because we rehearse so much. Not at all. What you see is what you get, guys. Is Chris Bryant a real play for us?
So, a few weeks ago, I would have said yes. Now, I would.
Because he
I
can
would
play
still,
third.
I would still take him for sure, but Espinal has really come on hot for the Jays right now, and he's probably the best defensive infielder that they have. The guy has been batting over 300 in the last 20 games. He's getting on base and he bats towards the bottom of the lineup, and he's putting a little bit of urgency at the bottom of the lineup. So I could see him playing a lot more at third, but by doing that, you're just working Biggio into more of a tight corner because you don't really know where to play him anymore. So I don't anticipate them getting an infielder anymore. I think that a lot of what they're going to do is going to be surrounding starting pitching, which is going to force some of their starters into the bullpen.
Okay. I just didn't know. I like the Bryant idea.
Yeah.
But I just didn't know if it's a real play.
It's just really going to depend on, let's say the Blue Jays are able to work out a deal with the Cubs where they're getting Craig Kimbrel. Now, if part of that deal is taking Bryant too, for sure they're going to take it. But I just don't see them exploring or giving up something for Chris Bryant when they're pretty certain that they would have that position filled. And I'm not saying that Espinal is going to be the guy forever, but based on what I can see and the way he's playing, I think that he's more than a serviceable option at third base, and he's defensively he's strong, and he gets on base and he can run. So you do all those things, and running and hitting is a good thing in baseball.
Is it? Scoring runs helps?
Yeah. So I want to point this out for Vlad too. I know we're on overtime, Liam. We always go over our hour. Vlad, think of all the power hitters that we've had, like the Batistas, Encarnaciones. Frank Thomas played here for a while. Go back to Joe Carter. Vladimir Guerrero is the fastest Blue Jay to 31 home runs. Took him 90 games. That means he's hitting a home run every series. That's pretty absurd. So right now this is probably game 91. And he hasn't hit a home run yet. Yeah.
So he's going to hit 45.
I think that if he gets on a run, and it's very likely to happen, that he's
in the cards.
He's going to be sniffing 60. If the Blue Jays are competitive, and I know that he's going to have to pick up his pace a little bit here, but they're going back to the launching pad, and if he's hitting these balls out everywhere else, they're all flying out of Toronto. That it's like a little sandbox. So
60.
Oof. Yeah, he can sniff around 60. Don't be.
Has anyone ever hit 60 there?
I don't think so. A Blue Jay player ever broke 60 home runs? I don't think so. I think the highest was Bautista, and I'm pretty sure he got to 54.
Yeah. The single season Blue Jays home run record would be the best way to look it up.
Yeah. My guess is the Bautista one, but I don't know for sure.
Would you put 52.5 at the over-under? Would be a safe bet?
Oh, if there was a cool bet prop for that, I would hammer the over.
So it's looking like no. Babe Ruth, Roger Maris, Sammy Sosa, Mark McGuire, McGuire, Barry Bonds. No.
Okay, so those are the only guys that broke 60, you mean? Okay. Yeah, we didn't know who the highest Blue Jay home run total was, but I'm pretty sure it was Bautista.
Bautista, 54 in 2010.
Okay, cool. That's kind of what I thought. Good. All right. Anything else you wanted to talk about, Jeff?
There's a couple things, just football stuff, but we have a show on Thursday.
All right. Well, let's save that because we are in overtime here. Anything from the commenters that we need to address, Liam? No?
Josh has said Davis Miller is the next Andrew Luck. He's calling it now. And I said if he loses, he has to wrestle Hudson.
I think it's a fair play.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. Let's sign him up for that. Hudson's dance card. His dance card's getting full, eh?
I heard
Maybe
he's
they
built
can fight him together.
handicap match. There we go.
Yeah. So literally. Yeah. Okay. Well, let's go ahead and sign this thing off, and we'll see everyone Thursday. But make sure you subscribe to YouTube, Instagram. Go follow us on Twitch because we need as many Twitch friends as we can get. We're gonna start playing video games on there when the new Madden comes out and stuff. And you think this is uncensored? Wait until you start seeing us play Madden on there. That's gonna get uncensored. But anyway, guys, cheers. Appreciate it. Kalen won't be back on Thursday.